Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and welcome to Thursday's show. Very shortly, we talk about Jason Momoa very briefly talking about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the social commentary in that film. Social commentary, for once, I actually agree with. And in the second part of the show, I will discuss why AT&T CEO John Stankey decided to merge Warner Media with David Zaslav's Discovery, and why David Zaslav. Why was it important to make David Zaslav the CEO of the entire company? I will explain this situation, and when I do, whether you like it or not, you'll understand what's going on. And no matter how much people cry about the decisions Zaslav's making, it's not going to change anything. But first, let's read what Jason Momoa had to say about the Aquaman sequel, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. He says, "These superhero movies dominate our market, which I have my own thoughts on because I love cinema." So let's just break this down for a minute, because as I say, it's very brief, but I want to talk about this. He talks about, superhero movies being a trend, and that he has his own thoughts on that because he cares about cinema. It looks like Momoa has the same view as me on this, that even though I love DC, and you know how passionate I am about DC, and I love these superheroes, it's so bad for the industry that this has happened. In fact, it's killed the theatrical system. We are drowning in mediocrity, mediocre superhero adaptations. The MCU is the main culprit for this. We've got these MCU D+ TV shows that are very mediocre. We've got the controversy over the VFX artists, and the DCEU has so many problems. But now, people who go to cinemas just want to see superhero and comic book fare. What happens to the variety in the industry? So I absolutely agree what Momoa is hinting at here. But we try to put out a positive message and go on an adventure, Momoa said. Aquaman is the most made fun of superhero in the world, but it's amazing to be able to bring awareness of what is happening to our planet. It's not some story that's been told over and over. It's a movie about what's happening right now, but in a fantasy world. The first Aquaman told a climate change allegory, and it appears the sequel will again. The actor teased, "I don't want to give too much away, but we really get to speed up what is going to happen to this Earth, and it's not because of aliens." So, very interesting. This is the kind of social commentary I approve of. And if you know your DCEU, you'll know that the first Aquaman and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom are not the first movies to talk about climate change and climate denial. We saw it in Man of Steel, and I think Michael Shannon has an interview in the Blu-ray extras on the DVD, Blu-ray and 4K of Man of Steel. And it goes like this. Man of Steel is about Krypton. And Jor-El tries to explain to the Kryptonians that, Krypton is going to implode and they need to save the race. But the whole point is, Jor-El's plan isn't that far away from what Zod wants to do. He wants to put the Codex inside his son. Basically, the DNA of 1 billion Kryptonian life forms, and send him to Earth. But Jor-El wants Clark to learn. He wants Cal to learn what it's like to be a human being first, and then let the Kryptonians and the humans live together in peace. Now, that would be a very difficult to fit thing for one alien, to do anyway. Now, Zod just wants to make the Earth poison to the humans and basically viable to the Kryptonians. He doesn't care about the human beings and if they die or not. He just cares about his people. It's a two thing. It's kind of a distinctive kind of opinion, isn't it? You get this all the time from nationalists. I don't care about anything but my country. And then there's the globalists who say, I care about the whole world. Everything matters. So whether you're a climate denier or you understand and you're clued up on the science of climate change, it's a reality, it's happening. And, you know, the DCEU and, you know, particularly this kind of Snyderverse timeline has always tried to talk about this. As I say, Man of Steel, the first Aquaman, and now Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So I do think this is really, really exciting social commentary. And it'll be interesting what the public make of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I am very excited for everyone to see it, but it doesn't matter what the film's about if Amber Heard's still in this movie. She has to go. And there are rumours already that she's already been quietly deleted and replaced by another actress on some Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom reshoots. Even if this hasn't happened yet, it's going to happen, and David Zaslav understands this. Now, on the subject of David Zaslav, the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO, I've done a lot of research on this person, and very shortly we're going to discuss him, and we're going to discuss why John Stankey went to him and decided to merge Warner Media and Discovery together. It's very, very interesting. After we discuss why John Stankey went to David Zaslav, I will discuss what's going on. Are we going to remain in the Snyderverse timeline? Who's going to be Batman, Michael Keaton or Ben Affleck? I'll explain the situation as much as I have knowledge of it and basically what my hunch is about it. So why did John Stankey, the CEO of AT&T, the original owners of Warner Media and Warner Brothers Pictures, go to Discovery and David Zaslav for a merger? It's really kind of simple. John Stankey could see the Warner Brothers and the Warner Media situation escaping him, running away from him. He could see these toxic entities running the studio into the ground, and John Stankey and his shareholders at AT&T were losing money. They had not been successful in turning this studio around. They thought it was going to be easy. A conglomerate. Movies make lots of money. What could possibly go wrong? Surely they did their due diligence. They knew that Toby Emmerich was running Warner Brothers Pictures into the ground, that he hardly had any billion-dollar pictures, that the man was an idiot, and his pit bull, Walter Hamada, over at DC, was even worse. But still, they bought the company. They tried to embrace HBO Max. It was their idea to do HBO Max, to call HBO Max HBO Max. This was a mistake because nobody knew HBO Max had anything to do with Warner Brothers Pictures. So they got HBO Max wrong. They did a lot of good things. You can understand why they put HBO in the title. It's a symbol of quality, but nobody knows it has anything to do with Warner Brothers. Of course, I do, and a lot of you do, but many people don't. So basically, there were these toxic entities. You know, they were losing money. They were getting into debt. What did John Stankey need? Well, John Stankey needed a person who didn't give a shit, who was unemotional, who was a fixer, a problem solver, a very competent business manager, and only one name stood out to him, and it's David Zaslav. And after I recently done my research, I now know why. So he spoke to David Zaslav about being a CEO of Warner Media or Warner Brothers Pictures. David Zaslav didn't want that. As the CEO of Discovery, he saw an opportunity. He wanted a merger with Discovery and Warner Media. There were a lot of discussions. There was a lot of toing and froing. But after Zaslav explained to him his plans and how he could make AT&T more money via this merger, Stankey was all ears. Who is David Zaslav? The fixer, the problem solver, a competent business manager. This is a man who will come to a problem and solve it. And if he has to crack some eggs, then he'll crack those eggs. He has no conscience about cancelling the Batgirl movie. He doesn't care if you call him a Trump supporter. He doesn't care if you call him a racist or a bigot or a 60-year-old white man. He's here to do a job. He's going to turn around Warner Brothers Pictures as a company that's been run into the ground and is in debt, right? And he's going to make DC a success, whatever it takes, no matter how painful it is. He will make the decisions and he won't care about his public perception. That's why Stanky very smartly went for David Zaslav. And it's begun. He's laying off staff members, something we should never celebrate. But it has to happen. He has to free up $3 billion in cuts. That's a lot of money because this company has been bleeding money for many, many years. Green lighting and green lighting and green lighting. DC content mostly on HBO Max, which was going to be expensive, my friends. And there's no profit in streaming. Not really. That's why they're all doing ad-based revenue now on streaming. That's what makes network television so profitable. Even in this era where they're not as popular as they used to be because of streaming, they still make a lot of money via ad revenues. But of course, with ad revenues, your sponsors need your shows to actually have people watching them. So this is going to be a new normal for streaming. It's coming to HBO Max, it's coming to Disney Plus, it's coming to Netflix, it's coming to everyone. Ultimately, there won't be a kind of choice of a non-ad streamer and an ad streamer. It will just be ads because they realize now these streaming services can't just make money on subscriptions. We kind of all lived in a fantasy land, and quite recently, if you don't know much about the streaming concept and the platforms, David Zaslav at the investor call really educated us that there's no money to be made in making a $200 million movie on Netflix or HBO Max, whatever. That's what Netflix are doing with Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. 2 movies that I'm really looking forward to. Let's see what happens with them. But there's no money to be made from it. You can bring subscribers, but it's not enough. And David Zaslav is saying this, that there's no point in Batgirl being on HBO Max. They could have invested more money in Batgirl and sent it to movie theatres. He wanted to send it to movie theatres like he's doing with Blue Beetle. So that's who David Zaslav is. A fixer, a problem solver who's a head of a company that's merged with Warner Media. He's already got rid of multiple amounts of executives and Sarnoff, Toby Emmerich. Now, for one reason or the other, I don't think that John Stanky had it within him to remove these people. This is why he went to Zaslav, because Zaslav doesn't give a shit. He doesn't care about your feelings. He's a robot. He will do what he has to do, and he will make the right decisions. It's not rocket science that we need a DC Studios and we need a team, and we need a story group there that make the right decisions, who understand DC, and that we have a competent studio president with experience of running a studio at a DC Studios. It's not rocket science, people. This is why the MCU has done so well, although it's struggling at the moment, but there's still interest in the MCU for now until they fuck it up beyond all recognition, because at the moment, Disney and the MCU are a political platform. They are not an entertainment platform. And this is the difference between Zaslav, Disney, Feig and Marvel Studios. Because David Zaslav has no intention in keeping Warner Brothers as a political platform. Birds of Prey proves that they were a political platform. Replacing Superman with Supergirl proves they were a political platform. There is no room in a business for SJWs and their point scoring and making entertainment a political platform. There's only money in being an entertainment platform, and the industry has been damaged because the extreme left have taken it over. And David Zaslav understands this. Here's a great comparison here, an analogy. Paramount have decided to make Star Trek a political platform. And it's lost money, and it's lost respect, and it's lost the fans. But then they allow Tom Cruise to make a Top Gun sequel on the premise of an entertainment platform. And now Paramount are seeing this money, and they understand that being a political platform over an entertainment platform, it's profitless. And you will go bankrupt. They are now all slowly going bankrupt, and they're going to have to make the ruthless decisions that David Zaslav is making at Warner Brothers Pictures, because David Zaslav isn't interested in a political platform. He's going to get a lot of heat for that. He's trying to turn Warner Brothers into an entertainment platform, and that's how you make money. They are in the entertainment industry, and before the 2016 apocalypse, when they were all entertainment platforms, there was still kind of social commentary, but it was done with nuance, and they trod carefully. They don't do that anymore, and they need to get back to it. There's too many clever fans around, and as soon as they sniff what's going on with extremism in this industry, they sniff it out, they stamp on it, and then these companies don't make money. You can't continue calling out the fans as toxic. We are your bread and butter. You cannot defeat us. You can't silence us. It's not going to work. So David Zaslav is going to get a lot of hate. For example, the Joker sequel is going to be called out for celebrating a toxic relationship between Joker and Harley. The irony is not lost on me that people in toxic relationships in the real world are calling out a movie for celebrating a toxic relationship. Close your ears, Den and Angie, and JR and Sue Ellen, two of the most successful fictional relationships in history, in EastEnders and Dallas, if you've heard of those shows. This is what people love to see, because relationships have an element of toxicity. But the extremists, the extreme left, don't understand that. They don't understand how the real world works. They live in their own little bubble, and they don't understand that the entertainment industry has to be an entertainment platform and not a political platform. So there's a lot of hard work to do yet. So David Zaslav is a hands-on business manager, fixer, problem solver. So ultimately what happens to DC and the DCEU is on his shoulders until he gets a competent DC Studios president. And we'll see who they bring in. I think if it's someone I think it's going to be, it will break every social media platform, including Twitter. And I can't wait for that. So what happens to the DCEU? Is he going to continue the DCEU? Who's going to be Batman? Is it going to be Michael Keaton? Or is it going to be Ben Affleck? We know what they were going to do originally. They were going to replace Ben Affleck with Michael Keaton, Superman with Supergirl, and replace basically, eventually, Michael Keaton's Batman with Leslie Grace's Batgirl, which won't be happening anymore. I believe that DC Studios are planning a reset. I believe that they will be planning their own slate of brand new movies in a brand new franchise, nothing to do with the DCEU. We, of course, touched this on yesterday's extended edition of my show. Hope you enjoyed it. But I believe we will stick with the DCEU for now. I believe we will go back to the Snyder timeline, and I believe that Affleck will continue to be Batman for now. What happens to Cavill, if we ever see him again, if he can make an agreement with the studio, I just don't know. This is not a permanent situation. They are going to allow James Gunn to make his Peacemaker 2 and a couple of his other spin-offs, right? They're going to bide their time while they're making their plans for their new franchise. And as soon as they're ready for a slate and to start making this slate, the DCEU will be dead. That's one thing I'm sure of. And you can let me know down in the comments down below if you want to restore the Snyderverse, if you want the DCEU dead. Let me know. I believe this is the best way forward. Use the DCEU for now until you're ready to implement a brand new franchise, then kill it dead. By then, James Gunn would have done whatever he wanted to do, and by then, they would have released, well, they would have released, you would have thought, Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, The Flash movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle may even be the beginning of the brand new franchise. Who knows? Ultimately, we may never see Henry Cavill as Superman again, and the next time we see Superman in the movie theatre could be a brand new Superman in a brand new franchise. Again, I'm more than happy with that. We have to move on from the DCEU. The DCEU is a hobbling, broken franchise that's never been a proper franchise since Snyder's left. Not everyone enjoyed what Snyder was doing. Personally, I did. And I also feel, I've always felt this, that the Snyderverse could always be a great alternative to the MCU. The MCU is very family orientated, and the Snyderverse could be this kind of more adult, robust, kind of darker version of DC live action. But that means you take families and children out of your audience, and you can't do that. You can allow the DCEU to exist over on HBO Max, and if James Gunn wants to play with those characters now and again, you can allow Zack Snyder to play on HBO Max with the Snyderverse. But it looks like the way Zaslav is talking and the way he treated Batgirl, he's not interested in DC movies and expensive DC content over on HBO Max. He wants to focus on the cinematic experience. Something else I really agree with. This has been Movies, TV Mad and Thursday Show. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss my perfection. Is the notification bell even there? I think it's there. I don't even know. Anyway, so please like, share and subscribe. I will be back tomorrow. So until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.